Today I will be wrapping up the Exec Producers Week topic and highlighting some of the major points so that you can take this info and do your thing. So the first point is to recognize that you have something unique within you, a gift, something that nobody else has seen or can see, something nobody else can do or has done. And honoring that first element, hey girl, I love you. Honoring that first element allows for you to relax away from the idea of what things should be. That way you're not worried that you're not doing it right, because you wouldn't know. You couldn't know. There's nothing to judge it against. That allows for the next biggest part, which is the doing. Sometimes we refrain from doing because we are concerned. We are concerned that we will do it wrong. And so rather than fail or fuck it up because we don't know if we should do this or if we should do that, we don't do anything. But that whole idea of failing, of fucking it up, it's just an idea. You really can't. And that's the crazy part about the fears that hold us in place. When you actually poke at them and you're like, hey, are you real? There's nothing under it. Usually the thing that you're afraid of would be really helpful for you, or ultimately you would be okay. It might be a bit of a journey, but you'd land on your feet, and possibly in a way that you could help others do the same. So another component of the first statement, that you already have something that you have something unique within you, is that it's within you. You already got it. That means you don't have to go out and get it. You don't have to force yourself to learn it. It's really just about allowing it. How wild. You just have to allow this thing to unfold, just as you would allow, can I pull it off? Doing it, reaching, a flower to unfold. Some of the other things that we talked about were judgment. So this kind of goes back to the first 2 points I made, and that if you are concerned or actively involved in trying to shape or lead what's within you, you might miss it, because you might not, one, have any idea where it's trying to go, but two, constrain it in a way that you think it needs to be to fit something else. And there's a lot of trust inherent in expression, but particularly doing your you, just your thing. And the trust would be that maybe it does go somewhere. But the coolest part is, I don't have to go anywhere, because I guess that the thing within you, the thing that you do, gives you joy in the doing. And so does it matter if it goes anywhere? Does it? Sometimes if we're really focused on the getting there and the there, we forget that the part that gets there is a series of theirs. And you're not in that there, you're in this there, where everything else is. And so if you're judging this there against that there, then you miss this there, but this is all the same. You see, it's kind of this trap where we expect that later we'll do it, or we'll get it, or it'll be different. But there's no later, there's just now. It's kind of like the concept of the only Zen you find on the mountaintop is the Zen you bring there. The only joy and love that you find in the there is the joy and the love that you bring there. So if you're just joining, what I'm doing right now is recapping the Exec Producer Week topic and some of the main points that we covered in the 2 chats. I had one on Wednesday and one on Friday. If you didn't see that, I think one of them is still posted. The rest are available on patreon.com/habitbook. And Oh yeah, if you sign up before August 20th for the lounge access tier, you'll get to come to our jazz night at the Space Hub Lounge, and we're having a live performer, a jazz singer and her accompanist, and they will be performing for, I think their set is in the beginning, and it should be a quite lovely experience. I do hope you can attend. And if you're not sure if you want to join patreon.com/habitbook or what that is, send me a message. I'm happy to walk you through it and just talk about if it's right for you or not. Okay, so in wrapping up this topic, the first element or the first component is to recognize that you have something unique within you. And because it's unique, the nature of that makes it impossible for you to judge the unfolding or the expression of it, because what are you going to judge it against? You don't know. And that allows for the timeline to be flexible, so you don't have to worry if you're in the wrong time or if you mess it up. It allows for the path to be flexible because you don't know what's right or wrong. And it allows for whatever it is to be yours, because it doesn't have to be anything that it's not. I talked a little bit about the trust and just kind of allowing the thing to be what you do because you love to do it. So really letting like bliss kind of lead you, and that could be an info gathering. So with like people who are kind of like high on achieving or measure success through accomplishment, sometimes forget that there's like a lead up period where it's like the rain cloud gathers before it rains, and so it might not look like you're doing anything, but you could very well be in preparation for something else. So like I think of like a gestation period. If a woman is pregnant, like doesn't really look like something, and then it looks like hell. It's like, no, stop. And then there's a baby, you see? And there's like all these different phases. The tree like grows, and then it blooms, and then it fruits, and then so all of the techniques particular to allowing for you to do you are just around relaxing your mind so that you don't think it should be different than it is, whatever's happening. And just in saying like, oh, I must be doing the thing, kind of sets you up to do the thing. I had a woman, like a brilliant creative woman, who just felt really far apart from her writing. Like she just couldn't get herself to sit down and write, and she tried all these different ways to think of how she could or should and why she needs to, and oh my god, the only thing that worked was stopping trying. And then the same strategy worked for a woman I worked with in Brazil, who had this beautiful book within her that was like growing for a while, and she kept trying to force it, and all day long she felt guilt she wasn't writing. Oh, I should be writing. Oh, I should be doing this, but I'm not. And that guilt that I'm not doing it held her apart from the doing, or at least the sensation of doing, or that calm or that peace that comes from thinking that you're on the path. But you always are, and the only thing that makes you feel that or think that you're not is your thoughts. So the primary takeaway from this week is, how can you relax your mind? What do you need to say to yourself? What do you need to believe so that you relax enough to do the thing that's like just you, and not worrying about what it looks like or where it goes, but really just enjoying the experience of expressing or exploring what's natural to you and what's within you. That's all I have today. Hello, Matthew. Good evening. It's very late there, I imagine. How's everybody doing? Okay. Thank you so much for coming out. Again, this topic is available along with the rest of the July programming on patreon.com/habitbook. In week 1, we covered self-sabotage. 2, we covered habits of action. Thanks, guys. Week 3, we covered relationships. That was really my favorite. We're gonna have to come back to that because there's a lot of like work to do, which is really just kind of like allowing yourself to know stuff other than you think. And then this final week was exec producers. I haven't released the content calendar yet for August. If there are any topics that are really interesting to you or present for you, please let me know. I'm happy to include them like for a whole week or even just like for a small chat. Thank you so much. So great to see everybody. I think that's it. Okay. Does anyone want to say anything before I close out? Oh, I say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again. Like, pay attention to the other names in the chat, because I'm very fortunate. Like, the people that collect around me on Instagram are all really amazing, and they generally like each other. And so I encourage like stalking each other and seeing if there are any similarities, because like, what a cool experience, what a cool opportunity to meet people all over the world around things that like you really feel passionately about. Like, you're here because there's something here for you, you know? It's not because you have to be. And that really changes like the surface area exposed. I love you, Jackie. Okay, all right, yeah, follow. Thanks for clearing that up, Matthew. Matthew suggested more of a follow, less of a stalk, which I get that. Great. Another thing I wanted to get some feedback on, if you haven't checked it out or if you want to try, I have an audio file only, an MP3 file from this week's meditation, which is a reading of the alternative sentences. I would love for you to, like, you can have it for free and see if that's something that's helpful for you. Their sentences, alternative sentences, are designed kind of like affirmations, but a little bit more intentionally, in that they're trying to tug on a thread of belief that you already have. So an affirmation can sometimes feel like a little far away from where you are. I use this gesture for everything. Maybe I need a new gesture. But an affirmation basically is like, oh, I want this to be true. And if you can't, like, if your mind is like, I know I'm saying this because it's not true and I want it to be true, then it's really tough to kind of like get into alignment with that, because you're still holding yourself apart. You think you have to do an action to be when you are everything. So all of the work really that I did this past month kind of rolled up into self-love, self-acceptance, and allowing yourself to like consider that you're like doing the thing that you think you're not. And the same thing is what I'm trying to do with alternative sentences, really, where I'm giving you like something to say instead of I can't, it's not working. It's just like we recite these narratives all the time and they become so familiar. It's so easy for us to just like think of a song you listen to all the time. You can just like do the song. Like, you don't like think of the songs you know from, like, think of some TLC songs you could throw back to right now with like no effort. And that's because you just hear them enough. And so you have these thoughts all the time about why you can't do things, why you aren't this, why you aren't that, why this isn't working, how this is wrong. And you just play it. And the more you play it, it plays. And it's kind of like this feedback loop. And the way to interrupt it is either with like a very simple mantra, with breathing, with just like playing with different focal points. But one of the things that I'm suggesting, or what I'm providing really as a tool, is this alternative sentences. So you start saying those on repeat, those on repeat, those on repeat, and then before you know it, the stuff that you're saying inside your head is supportive of you. What's so trippy about our internal dialogue is that it can be so fucked that we don't even know that it's fucked. So imagine that you had a radio playing all the time, but it's been playing your whole life, so you don't really hear it. It's talking to you, but you don't really hear it. And the only way to do that is to kind of like pay attention to what your thoughts are pointed at. So they might be pointed at how to make something better, or how to control something, or how to this. And if it's coming from a place of like need rather than creation, then it's usually from a deeper pain that needs to be resolved before you can experience a thing. Otherwise, you're just like treading water. So when you notice that you are thinking, not obsessively, but let's say like extra about a certain topic, I'd consider if there's like something upstream from that would allow for you to allow for that into your experience. Because our natural state is just kind of like this harmony, dancing, moving, all like we step, it's there, we step, it's there, we step, it's there. And if you're having an experience where you feel like you step and like you can't step and you can't step and you can't step, it might be like an underlying disconnect or an underlying disbelief in your ability to do or be or have that thing. Or just even, like I'm saying, it could just be a habit. You could just be so used to being broke you can't imagine or feel what it would be like to not be broke, and that just perpetuates the experience that doesn't have anything else to give you. A lot of contrast, or let's say like things you don't want, often provide perspective for you to either appreciate or grow in some type of way. Like, what a beautiful thing. Like, this is life. Like, you move through it. It's not quite what you experience. It gives you things, you grow, you move, like, oh. But if you get stuck on thinking about one of the things which is not what you want, you kind of hold it in place, and that natural process is interrupted. And that's why, like, I can talk to you like for days about this concept called scientific prayer and why I think it's like the fucking jam. But we won't do that right now because I'm gonna go play tennis tonight. Yes, obsession can be good if applied correctly. You know, I would actually challenge that and say that obsession is of the mind, or could be of the mind. I guess I would want to know the source. So if obsession is of the mind, then I think it would be coming from a place of need. Whereas if it was like obsession as a point of focus, it might be like your gift or your like breadcrumb line. Like, I need to do this thing. I need to do this thing. It can also like block out, I'd say, different areas in a way that like you probably could or would or wanted to deal with them, but you're not. But I guess it's all perfect. So I'd say yes, everything can be productive forward. Yeah, I think we're probably saying the same thing and just using different words. The next comment was, I mean, in terms of obsession over a goal. Yeah, I would, even though like sometimes I'm saying like, when I was introducing this earlier, I was suggesting that it's actually not about a destination and really just about the joy of expression, like doing the thing because you love to do the thing. It's like, I do all this shit because I love to, you know, and there's a bunch of things. There's probably something within you or something you do that other people would be like, you could not pay me enough, but you just love it and it lights you up. And I'm saying kind of like do it for the joy of it and see where that leads you, and that's sort of being the trust fall of this experience. But again, I'd imagine we're probably saying the same thing, just coming from different vantage points, using different language. The other comment was, a lot of guys don't like most women because they don't like their mother, which is interestingly, yeah, like it seems like everything's sort of like patterny, and it is helpful to question something like that. If you're not having success in relationships, is there something you need to look at about your fundamental understanding of relationships or of yourself or of men or women? Are there expectations? Are there ideas that are leading you astray from like your natural expression for it being easy? Do you have beliefs or expectations that are holding you apart from enjoying what would be very like just natural, just two people who like to be around each other, you know? Yes. All right, cool. I'm going to end this to keep it short. Thank you so much for coming out. Last comment. Deflections are so much fun to look at, just like this. Yeah. 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 It's really, one of my favorite analogies right now is the Cat in the Hat book, where he like cleans the pink ring off the tub and then it goes on the sweater, or I forget the order, but that's like the wall and then the car and the kid or whatever. It's the same with like our whatever we're running from. You can't run. I mean, you can, but it's like running with your eyes closed, so I probably wouldn't. Oh wait, I did. #life. All right, thank you so much for coming out and contributing to the conversation tonight. Great to see everyone. I'll be out. Look for the topic list. I'll probably be rolling it out tomorrow, which is what we'll be covering in August here, and then archiving on patreon.com/hababook with a bunch of other cool materials. So I've been putting I put these videos up there after they like hang on Instagram for 24 to 48, and then I add text. I kind of summarize what we say. There's a transcript, an audio version in the community, and then this week or this past month for July, which you would have access to if you want, it's called the 10x amplifier good feels generator, which is a sexy way to say a spreadsheet that creates space for you to write out the stuff that makes you feel good, and then just deepen and better develop the practice that you have to pay attention to the stuff that's working. Because overall, like when you look at everything in your life, the ratio of like not working to working, it's like, but sometimes this hurts a lot, so we can't see all of this. But going back to alignment, it seems like if you can focus on this, then this will kind of like bob up on its own. All right, thanks so much for coming out, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening, and see you this week.